Hey guys, welcome back to King of Beta. We are here with Game 3. This has been a very explosive series. These have been very quick games. First match was a idle rush craziness with Energy versus Decay. Second match saw Lahopaa staying with Decay because he won, and Nerp changing to Growth, and Nerp just ran over him and got a round 12 victory. There was really no contest in that match. And we'll see what they decide to do for third game. Normally the winner stays with the deck they had. We'll see if Nerp changes. We'll see if Lahopaa... Lahopaa's got to change. He can't deal with that growth again. I think he's definitely got to move on to something else. But welcome back. I am ThePurplePanzy, casting along with Vulkenhyn. Say hello, Volky.
Hi, guys.
And it's King of Beta. So here we go. Let's look at these decks. Lahopaa moving to Energy. This looks like just a regular ranged energy deck.
Yep. It looks pretty standard range energy, including the Echomatons, just for the defense against the pseudo defense against spells, and it looks like he swapped out one of the range units for Ironclad Reavers, just because it's just Ironclad Reavers are a really solid frontline,
especially
5-drop
growth too.
Now, one thing that he does not have in this deck that is one of the key things in defending against growth is the Potion of Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And that might actually come back to bite him. But he, these decks were pre-submitted, so he can't go back
quick
and change it. Yeah.
You just got to make a deck that is good against everything. A lot of times we'll see people make quick adjustments. This is looking more like a typical CC or a TCG game or a tournament where you have to actually register the deck, and it provides a different meta. Honestly, it provides a different tournament meta. We talk all the time about ladder meta compared to tournament meta, and there's different subsets of tournament meta too. And in these best 2 out of 3s, you've got very little time to switch out. You've got 3 different decks that were pre-registered, and you need to try to predict what the other person is going to do. And if you are wrong, it's going to come back to bite you really big because you don't have many matches. You can only lose 2 and you're out.
Yeah, and before we move on, I think I know another thing I want to point out in his energy deck is that he actually includes scout automatons. So that's gonna work really well with the Automata Forge, where if you can get 1 scout or 2 scouts down, those gun automatons are going to be extreme. Like, they're going to go from being kind of your standard junky token creature to being extremely potent forces.
Especially with 1 armor. 1 armor against growth is just a nightmare. Ragged wolves don't do anything. Your little weenie Vaders. There's so much that growth usually runs that can't handle that. Luckily, Nerp is running a heavier growth, so he should have some answers to it. He's also got Ancestral Totem to bump up those ragged wolves, so but usually that scout auto does good work against growth. But let's see what happens here. A big problem last time was Lahopaa's starting hand. He's got a different deck that's not going to depend as much on the starting hand, I think. I think no matter what he gets in this, he's going to be okay. Nerp, on the other hand, is going to get a Nog's Nest again. And last time, Nog's Nest did plenty of work in the early game. Yeah, and Lahopaa's got Hired Smuggler and Automata Forge to begin with, so he's got a nice curve as well.
Yeah, and I think that he's got that really good Nog's Nest start where he's going to get a couple of units on the field in a couple of turns. I don't think the Hired Smuggler is really going to aim to take out the Nog's Nest unless it's real, unless Lahopaa really thinks it's a threat. Because, with the Hired Smuggler, you want to be drawing as many structures as you possibly can at any point in time. So, generally, Hired Smugglers go to attack idols and trigger that pillage effect.
And he does put the automatic forge in the middle, which actually makes me think I think he is going to attack the rat, because, well, now he has to.
Yeah.
And he also wants to stay behind that forge, because that breaker will cut him down if he tries to move out.
Yeah, and I don't think moving the rats out was really that necessary. You know, it shows that he's kind of playing around Thunder Surge, but there's no reason to play around Thunder Surge at this point in time.
Yeah,
see, like that's
not a threat.
That's one structure draw that Nerp did not have to give Lahopaa, and so I think that's a pretty not a huge mistake, but a pretty sizable one.
I wonder if he was baiting that Hired Smuggler down to try to get the breaker to attack him, but the burn came out, so it didn't even matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather just sacrifice the rat and try and get him out, because that forge is going to need to go away eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the setup that Lahopaa has now.
It looks like it is going to go away.
Cannon. Yeah, that Ancestral Totem is going to work wonders for him. Going to make all those rats have 2 attack, which...
Interesting moving down the Great Wolf. I would have thought that he would keep the Great Wolf up to try to hit the middle lane next turn, but moves it down.
I think that...
the VD doesn't even make it matter.
I think that he...
Great Wolf.
Might have been a VD is good against most things.
Well, I mean VD. I mean when you're building a deck that's centered around Great Wolves.
Yeah, no, definitely. I understand. I'm just messing with you, but I think that what he was afraid of there was he knew that Lahopaa was going to 6, so he's afraid of the Oculus Cannon Bombard play, and he didn't want to. He wanted to kind of minimize the damage that he took. It might have also been that he did not want to take the damage from the Hired Smuggler if he was going to try and do that 2 damage to the Great Wolf so that he could burn it next turn.
Mm-hmm. Weenies are so strong with an Ancestral Totem on the board.
Yeah.
It makes rats pack a punch.
Yeah, and
now we see him properly spacing for Thunder Surge, which is good. And because there is the Thunder Surge.
But I think he's going to opt for the Bombard, probably.
No, I didn't understand the cannon. Okay, yeah. Never mind, that works out. Takes out pretty much half the board here. But Nerp had some breathing room, and he's got another side of the board that is untouched.
Yeah, and I think that the Nog there, I think moving him down and doing that 2 damage to the Boom Reaver might have actually been worth it. Even though you're taking off a little bit of pressure, because then they don't have to move up into kind of your danger zone, just because it would be in range of the Ragged Wolf, so then you could Ragged Wolf Veteran combo.
Now I love what Lahopaa is doing here. He is choosing not to move up to take out these units, because he's got the bait down with the Stormrunner down here and the Cannonetta and the Oculus Cannon. Nerp's got to wade through so much, and yeah, he moves down, he takes out an automaton. This is nothing. The Boom Reaver is nothing. What everything is the Stormrunner and Oculus Cannon, and he can just sit here and whittle away idols and just wait for Nerp to come to him. Although he's going to come to him with a veteran here. Haste unit is another way to close a little bit of that.
Yeah, and he's not going to... He did not move the rat away, I guess fearing the Thunder Surge, but that means he's not going to get a second Nog. He's just going to get 1, which I think is probably kind of a mistake. I think he could use as many units on the field as possible right now.
Especially 3 health units that aren't going to be removed right away from a Thunder Surge. And now he just doesn't even care. He's going to clump together because he wants double Great Wolf down. If he has the hope of draws a Bombard here, he doesn't draw a Bombard. There's no way to remove those Great Wolves right now.
Well, he's going to get 1 of them with the Thunder
Surge,
yeah. But I mean, Nerp's looking... in a pretty bad way right now. What he really needs to do at this point is probably just draw a bad play. He probably needs to draw a Quake and just a Frostgale and try and reset the board and build back up from that. Because even that, like, that's a pretty good play with the Great Wolf and the Mangy Wolf and the Ragged Wolf, but he's losing everything.
Didn't necessarily understand. I guess it's fine. Nogs are moving down. The only threat still around.
Yep, Nog threat.
But no Ancestral Totem. But they're gonna take out an idol here.
Yeah, and I think that you know, you never want like the optimal arrangement for the rats that he has right now. He probably should have that middle, the lower middle rat in the direct center, move forward one, just to keep him from getting the Thunder Surge value of taking everything out all at once. But it didn't really matter that much because he drew Bombard and just kind of took everything out. And with that, Lahopaa took an idol with his Octils Cannon.
It is not time to Quake. I was gonna say it is time to Quake, but he does not go for Quake here.
I think that he's waiting to Quake until he can actually take everything off the board.
He wants a Frostgale to go with it. But he's not gonna have much time. You know, he's gonna sack for scrolls here. He doesn't even have the resources to make a Frostgale Quake happen right now. I don't know about leaving that 4 health idol. Yeah, that's game. That's game. That 4 health. He shouldn't have left that 4 health idol open.
Yeah. If only because he really needed to move those the Fang Bears up to actually contest.
That is probably the first time we've ever seen a 11 attack Dust Runner end the game. But
Nope.
I was sitting there thinking, you know, Lahopaa, Nerp's got some time. Lahopaa doesn't really have any lethality to this deck on the board right now. Storm Runners aren't going to hit idols. But when you got Machinated, anything becomes a cannon. And if Nerp had moved up those Fang Bears, I think he was trying to hold on to them, thinking that was going to be his comeback mechanic. I think he should have just chump blocked and hope for a quick Frostgale, though.
I think that one of the big things is that when you're facing energy, especially ranged energy, they are kind of inherently unpredictable. All that sort of thing. So it's really important when you have low idols to make sure that those are protected, because even though you may think, well, he can take, you know, this one low idol, but I've still got one more before he wins the game. If he pulls out a play like that double Machinated, that's more than 10 damage, and he can just snipe something and win the game.
Yeah.
And that's been a staple of energy since its inception, is just you have to watch out for idol sniping because they are extremely good at it.
Yeah. And I think the big thing about this best of 3 format in general is that first game Lahopaa had the advantage, put Nerp on his back foot, forced him to change decks, and whoever wins the game is going to stay with the deck that they had. And when you're one match ahead, you're able to counter one game ahead. That makes sense. So
yep.
I honestly, I was wondering if Nerp should have maybe changed back to that energy deck. It really was not hard countered by that Decay deck. It did really well, and it lasted really long. I mean, we got down to he needed one more turn to win. I wonder if that would have done better.
He might have stood a little bit of a better chance there, just because since it's kind of a mirror match. all the bombard plays and everything like that are equally as threatening for both sides of the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your bombard triggers globally across both enemy and ally units. So you have to use your bombards more sparingly and only when you think that you will be able to take out everything on their side of the board.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I definitely think MVP is Bombard for these matches. Bombard is such a good surprise mechanic. It's not even a surprise anymore. You just can't let units be down the board for too long. And once it gets high enough resources, it doesn't matter if they have an empty board because one unit down, Bombard, especially if it's piercing, can do a lot of work as well.
Yep.
But that was it for this series. We saw Lahopaa take it. Yep, that was good junk. Once again, this is the ThePurplePanzy along with Vulkenhyn, King of Beta. We will be back with more matches in the future, so stay tuned for that. This was a good series, especially that game one. I think that game one will go down as one of the best matches in a while. That was one of the really tight match. But thanks for watching, guys.